So, I mean, you mentioned Islam, and I was going to get there, but, I think we're going to give you one last question. If you want to rope it in somehow, our response to Islamic hostility, you can. Although I don't know if they're going to give a question about that, Steve. But I've said here before from the pulpit, that despite all of the necessary work we have to do in combating anti-Semitism, kind of try to bring it full circle here, our job is not just to exist. Our job as Jews is not just to survive. Our job for combating anti-Semitism is to follow that up with being Jews and living Jewishly. Usually when we have a scholar in residence come, so I take them aside, or I have a conversation with them beforehand, saying look, you're not here very often. I have to talk to these people every week, so I can't be too aggressive in telling them how to live Jewishly, otherwise they'll go a different shul. But since this is not your shul, can you give us a parting message? Not many of us are going to encounter, at least hopefully not too often or ever, some hostile aggressors, that are trying to convert us or trying to convince us of different ideas. What is our role in terms of being better Ovdei Hashem in the face of this kind of hostility in the world, in the face of that kind of, narrative about the Jewish people? What is our avoda? What is our job, our role in our little orbit to be better Jews? Or, in what way can we combat this growing trend?
Yeah. Rabbi, you articulated it perfectly. Our role is not to just exist. It's just our survival. Those of you who have a perfunctory knowledge of Jewish history, our survival was, the chance of this happening was, nevertheless, we have a promise. But what you heard the rabbi say is precisely that. Our mandate is to be a light to the nations. Isaiah 49, verse 6. Isaiah 42, verse 6. That's our entire role. We are to be, in fact, before the 10 Commandments were given in Exodus chapter 20, chapter 19, we're told we're to be a mamleches kohanim v'goy kadosh. We're to be a kingdom of priests. Well, we're the priests, not Aaronic, but priests meaning who are laity, are the non-Jews. How do we reach them? Imagine for a moment if every one of these windows were removed and the doors were closed. It would be so dark here you wouldn't see the finger in front of you. If you lit only one candle, it would reach every part of the room. And another striking feature about a lit candle is that it could kindle an infinite number of other candles without diminishing from the original flame. Conversely, if I have a pail of water and I give you some, then I have less water. But the flame, the light, this is not poetry. I'm not waxing elegant. Ki ner mitzvah for Torah or. It's the book of Proverbs, written by the son of King David. So therefore, the role of the Jew is to be a light to the nations. One other point is that there's something striking about Jewish suffering. It's not only our existence, but Jewish suffering has a big impact on non-Jews, and many people will say, and those who watch me, you hear it live, that I was not Jewish, I didn't like the Jews, but I saw Shinlusus, I saw what happened October 7th, and I changed, and I became a Ben Noach, and I converted to Judaism. There's a power in Jewish suffering that triggers within the non-Jew a desire to join the Jewish people. And it's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense. Why do they want to convert now? 85 years ago, 1/3 of the Jews were murdered. We should be radioactive, yet they are lining up to convert. If your rabbi was to have a one-day sale, anybody wants an Orthodox conversion, they would line up from here to Chicago. They're all plotting. You can't get into a program in Israel. It's very hard to get into a conversion program in Israel, which is, people want that a lot because you can make Aliyah immediately. You can't get in, and it's all former. If you speak to people, it's the suffering of the Jew that does something to the neshama of the non-Jew that draws them in. It's very, and that is so counterintuitive, but listen like you never listened in your life. That's what Isaiah 53 is. Isaiah 53 is the soliloquy of what the non-Jews will say in the Messianic age. If you were right all along, so now we know we follow you. 10 Gentiles grab the shirt of a Jew and say, take us with you, now we know God's with you. In the Messianic age, all the nations recognize the God of Israel. All. But they'll have a dilemma. Why did you suffer so much? Until now, we attributed Jewish suffering to what the anti-Semites say, and that is, we rejected their gods and their prophets and their demigods, and that's why the Jews suffer so much, and they're thrown out of every country. But now we know that all along you had the truth. So our original explanation for Jewish suffering now collapses, and the non-Jew discovers two things. Schindler's List, very powerful film about a story of a man who went into the war. He was a German, he was a member of the Nazi Party, he was Roman Catholic. What changed him? The girl in the red dress. He saw her suffering, and although he went into the war, not necessarily as an anti-Semite, but to exploit the war in order to gain wealth and women and so on, for his own personal hedonism, he gave it all away. I would posit to you that if the protagonist in that story was a Jew, it wouldn't be interesting. What's so powerful is this non-Jew is transformed and converted by the suffering of the Jew that he witnessed with his own eyes. And that's what Isaiah 53 is, that the non-Jew sees the suffering of the Jew and says, you know what, I'm turning to the God of Israel. And that's what it means, by his stripes we were healed. The kings of nations are speaking in their astonishment, saying, now we understand all along that the suffering of the Jew caused us to do tshuva. And that's why we're seeing the greatest amount of conversion today in B'nai Noach. There's millions of people around the world. Dafka after the worst thing that ever happened in Jewish history. And after October 7th, we're seeing just the middle fall out. Of course, anti-Semitism is very striking, but people are coming to the people of Israel and to the God of Israel. And the second thing Isaiah 53 is that they're saying, because of the transgression of my people, they were stricken. So Jewish suffering triggers a tshuva among the nations of the world. Now, we don't want to suffer, it's not a good idea, but that's the effect it has on the nations of the world. But our role, as you said, Rabbi, is to be a light to the nations. Our commitment to Torah, don't do what the Muslims did. Don't do what they did in 636, where they invaded the Byzantine Empire and battled their way. We don't do it that way. We don't hold crusades and all this stuff. Don't do that. Don't clap on people's doors. Commit yourself to the God of Israel, and it will transform the world. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Rabbi Singer. Thank you for the couple hours you spent with us. I mean, I'm sure some minutes afterwards. But more importantly, thank you for all of the work that you do. And it's a pleasure not only to hear you here, but to be able to hear you on an ongoing basis. Everyone's welcome. I'm sure you wouldn't mind me plugging your YouTube channel and Instagram, I'm sure you have, or all the other things. You just type your name in, and you'll find there. Rabbi Singer obviously has books on. You have a new book that you're working on, you said?
Yeah.
So you can keep an eye on that. But I implore everyone else to at least be aware of the enemies in our midst and outside of our midst. But most importantly, as we just finished, to be aware of our job, each and every person, each and every individual's responsibility to be the best yid that we can be, the best Oved Hashem to whatever capacity that we have, to keep towards, keep into us to the best of our abilities, and hopefully that will have a ripple effect throughout the world, that even if we're not necessarily having the direct confrontational conversations that Rabbi Singer has become our shliach to have, we are still doing our part in being the best Jews that we can be. So thank you, Rabbi Singer, for coming out.
If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ואת נעשה בחפצו כל